Have you ever felt like you were at the edge of a massive life change? Or maybe you're actually in the middle of a massive life change and feeling completely overwhelmed and underwater? If yes, then this video is for you. I'm Dr. Jennie, and this is a dispatch on the messy, humbling, and vital art of starting over. We're going to talk about how perfect safety and comfort are an illusion. We're going to talk about how stagnation is the root of all illness and discomfort, and how resilience is not an all or nothing game. I'm a doctor and professor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, and 6 months ago, I walked away from a long, successful practice, my home, everything I knew, in order to pursue a dream to move to the south of France. I didn't do it because I had it all figured out, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It's still hard. But I did it because I realized that safe and comfortable were beginning to just be stagnation in my life. In my clinical practice and in my own journey with autoimmune issues and chronic pain, I've learned one inescapable truth. Life is for living, and we need to do it while we can. We can't build resilience while we're waiting for the storms to pass. We build resilience by deciding to take action on our dreams and goals and doing things even when they're hard and by challenging ourselves. So truth number one, the first clinical truth that I had to face in making this decision to make this huge move to another country was that safety and comfort are just an illusion. In Colorado, we had spent years trying to get to where we were in life, and life was really good. We weren't running from anything. We had a beautiful life. We had raised 3 kids. We had family, we had community, we had successful careers. Our house was just how we wanted it. It was lovely. Everything was dialed in, and there was an ease to it, an ease and a comfort. I always felt like once we got to that point that I was gonna just feel so, safe, comfortable. But as each of our kids graduated one by one from high school, and you start to ask yourself, okay, well, what's next for us? As we, this role of parent has totally changed as they move up and out. We started realizing that the idea of just doing the same thing, just working and staying in the same place and doing all these things for the next 20 years just felt stagnant, uninspiring, not bad, it just didn't light us up. We needed to have a goal. But what really got us was that what felt so safe, what felt so predictable, really wasn't. We each had some health issues that we had to deal with, and we had a couple of close loved ones pass away pretty unexpectedly. And in my practice, I started seeing people my age or a little bit older start to have really devastating health diagnoses. And, I'm at an age in my early 50s where it doesn't feel so far off anymore. And all of a sudden, this idea of, I've got all this time, you start to realize that maybe I don't have so much time anymore as I used to think I did. So between those things and seeing how much things can change in the outer world between the pandemic and all the changes in the political landscape around us, things were happening that we never imagined could happen, and it was happening all the time. It's still happening all the time. We just realized that everything can change in an instant, and all these things that we feel like are so safe and predictable, it's just an illusion. The only thing we really have control over is who we are and what we do in each moment. And I have to say that in my years in my clinic, I saw so many people who were just waiting for some green light that never came to move forward in their lives because they never felt ready, or they were afraid of the risk, or just because they weren't willing to be uncomfortable in order to get to where they wanted. And I get that, when we need to get our blood sugar down for a blood test or whatever and have to change our diet, it's hard. It's hard for me, and I literally tell people to do this for a living, but It's hard. It's hard to step away from this comfort. And we put so much energy into trying to control everything. But avoiding really living just to try to keep this illusion of comfort and safety, it isn't really living. We can't keep waiting to feel ready or perfectly healthy or for the exact right time before we follow our dreams. Because the reality is there isn't a just right time. There isn't a perfect situation, perfect time. It's just now. We just have now. The act of choosing and walking on this path of our dreams, our goals, and our true desires. This is the most powerful medicine there is. Listening to yourself, not being afraid to do the things that you are called to do. When we decided to move to Provence, people asked us all the time about leaving this safe, comfortable, familiar life, about the risk. And you know what? I said it before. It's been hard in a lot of ways. It's been challenging. It's been sad. It's been an overwhelming amount of just stuff to do and to figure out and to think about. And we've been pretty dang uncomfortable for like almost a year now. And we know that we will be pretty uncomfortable for a while until, I don't know, until some magical other time when things are comfortable again and I'll get the itch again to do something else crazy. But I had to come to a place where I was asking myself, if my life were to end tomorrow, what would I regret? And I realized that the real risk wasn't moving to France, this huge dream I'd had for decades. The real risk was staying in a life that just felt comfortable, that felt like I was clinging to the past instead of living into our future. And so we took the leap. So here's the lesson. Agency and action are the antidote to fear. When I talk about agency, I mean that moment when you stop letting your life happen to you and you start making conscious, active choices. It's taking the wheel back from autopilot. It's being intentional. You don't find safety by staying still. You find it by taking back your power, choosing your own meaning in life, even when the logic doesn't quite add up on paper. And I think that in these times, with all the things happening in the world right now, a lot of people are feeling this. What can I do? We're waking up from this stupor that we're in, from working tons of hours and being lost in our phones or TV. And we're asking, what can I really do with my life to make it matter to me? Here's truth number 2. Stagnation is the root of all illness and pain, emotional, physical, mental. This second truth is something that I have taught for years in the classroom. Stagnation. If you ever go to acupuncture school or learn anything about it, you will hear over and over again how stagnation causes illness and pain and discomfort of all kinds. In Chinese medicine, we know this. We know that stagnant qi, stagnant energy, leads to problems, depletion, lots of emotional discomfort, huge emotional discomfort, irritation, irritability, anxiety, frustration. The list goes on. Here's the thing. When we stay in our comfort zones for too long, when we never challenge ourselves and we never learn anything new and we never do anything new, we are creating stagnation in our whole system. We need to have a vision, we need to have a dream, and we need to take action on it to be fully healthy. This is the wood element, the liver, the gallbladder in Chinese medicine. It's so important to not let ourselves get stagnant. Plus, when we stay in our comfort zone for too long, especially when you're feeling that pull for change and you're just ignoring it because it's just too hard, our nervous system almost forgets how to deal with new challenges and new things. We start to feel like things are so much more stressful than they used to. And people say this is just aging, but I'm going to say that it's not totally just aging. It's that we get out of practice for it. We're not challenging ourselves. We get too comfortable. Things don't have to feel that stressful. We're just really out of practice. Once we get this stuck, we really lose our resilience. Have you noticed this? Has this ever happened to you? Here's the clinical secret. We have to move that stagnation, and to do this, we have to take action when we feel called to do so, when it's the time, even when it's hard, even when we don't really want to. It's like getting out of bed when it's so comfortable, or herkle-durkling, staying in bed much longer than we should. The truth is that growth happens at the edge of discomfort. You don't build resilience in the easy moments. You build it by putting one foot in front of the other over and over again, even when you're completely out of your element, in order to get where you want to be. That's resilience. And we all have it. We all have it. Sometimes we just forget. And comfort, as much as we all want it, and it can be so lovely, comfort is keeping us from having that true resilience. Our bodies have some great examples of this. In our brain, neurons make new connections when we learn new things. But what really makes it work is to practice it and keep doing it over and over and over. Equally so, our bones and our muscles get strong because of pressure, because of lifting those heavy weights and walking more. Bones become brittle. We know this now with osteopenia and osteoporosis if we don't use them, if we don't stay strong. And the same thing is true for our psyche. Moving to Provence essentially reset my system back into adaptability. I went from being a doctor and a business owner with the answers. I felt competent, confident, and like I knew things. And now I'm this beginner who can't remember the words for simple things like trash can. Although, interestingly, I know it now because I kept forgetting, and it's poubelle, which is such a lovely word, like Pooh Bear's little sister. But never knowing, like I just randomly forget how to speak, even in English sometimes here in France, because it's just so overwhelming sometimes. The learning curve of everything. My French is certainly not fluent, although I am learning and I practice every day. The accent and the way people speak here in the south of France is different than what I learned in high school French. Also, it was more than 30 years ago. That might have a little something to do with it. But really, just between this immense learning curve and the volume of work and things that we have had to figure out in how to move to France, what to do when we got here, what we're doing every day, the grocery store, having all of that and coming from being this competent adult at the top of my game to feeling like this small child who just does not know anything. I am living on the growth edge every day. Is it exhausting? Yes. Yes, it is. Is it hard? Also, yes. Is it worth it? Absolument. Yes. It is amazing, and I marvel every time I'm out walking around in Old Town at the history and the beauty here. Plus the food is pretty all right too. Be willing to build this muscle of change and moving stagnation and getting out of our stuck zone. And it's as powerful as acupuncture. Little things every day. It doesn't have to be everything at once. Just take the steps to do something that's important to you to help move that stagnation. Here's truth number 3. Resilience is not an all or nothing game. In the wellness world, we are so often sold this lie that health is binary, that you're either this or you're either that. You're either perfectly natural or you're clinically dependent, or only this medicine is good and that one's terrible. It's crap. It's crap. This kind of rigid thinking is a trap. It creates a stress loop that actually prevents you from healing. And plus, you're just missing out on all of your available options. Listen, obviously, as a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine and longtime manual therapist, where I have a master's degree and a doctorate in Chinese medicine and years of practice and training in osteopathic techniques and everything else, I obviously lean heavily towards natural medicine. So heavily. However, I also feel so strongly that we are so lucky to be alive in this time when we have so many options available to us. when we have all of these things that Western medicine can give us at the same time? Are there problems in Western medicine? Yes. But are we really lucky to have it? Yes. There is a reason why lifespans are so much longer than they were just 100 years ago. We are really fortunate to have Western medicine available to us in whatever form it is. For my own complex health issues, autoimmune and chronic pain, major allergies, hypermobility, I got some stuff. But it's manageable, and I have found that the most effective way to do so is to use a mix. I use both Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine and osteopathic medicine and a huge healthy dose of common sense, which is so missing from the wellness world lately. That's another video I'll talk about later. Here's the lesson. True resilience is found in the middle. In Taoism, it's called the middle way. Even Benjamin Franklin used to talk about the middle way as being the path to happiness. True resilience, it is the ability to be flexible. Resilience is using the discernment to use every tool in your toolkit and knowing when to use it, or knowing who to ask about when to use it. Time-tested natural medicines, science, intuition, common sense, all of these things have value. And we can do it without having the dogma of having to do it perfectly to see results. So let's rethink health and resilience and know that shit happens. Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes you get hurt. Sometimes bad things happen. But it doesn't have to be this all or nothing, all one thing, all another. We have to have this flexibility with which we can move forward. And once we begin to think about the world in that way, taking steps that are outside of our comfort zone becomes a lot easier and less scary. So just give yourself some flexibility. Help yourself to have some resilience. Remember, discernment is your friend. And it will help us to make better choices for ourselves and to see a clearer path without feeling like we have to just be this one thing or be this other thing. We can be all the things that we are and that we want to be. If this common sense approach to health and resilience and wellness resonates with you, or if you just want to know a little bit more about what it's like to live in Provence, and especially how the lifestyle in the south of France and the Mediterranean really resonates with Chinese medicine in quite lovely ways that are easy to incorporate into your life, please hit like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps more people to find us and look for a grounded perspective between natural and Western medicine, plus some nice scenery. I really love this work I get to do, so thank you for being here on this journey with me. Subscribe for more dispatches from Provence, clinical common sense, and I would love to hear from you in the comments. What is one thing that you have been waiting to do that you would regret if you didn't do it in this life? Let me know. I'm really interested to hear. Life is this beautiful, singular, precious adventure. And I'm here working on mine in Provence, France, one day at a time. I'm Dr. Jennie, and I will see you in the next video. Here's the real boss.